My name is Hunter Meek. I'm the marketing director here at Pipeline ROI. We provide inbound marketing solutions for real estate agents and mortgage professionals. And I will give you a little bit more information about that stuff at the end. But we are going to jump right in here and start talking about SEO for real estate. So before we get started, a few disclaimers, I guess you could call them. So, number one, Google doesn't give away their ranking formula. All right, obviously, if they did, everybody would try to game the system, which they do anyway, and it has happened in the past. And Google has had to make all kinds of changes and updates constantly to make sure not to reward people who are, doing things just to game the system. And to reward people who are going about it the right way. So if Google doesn't tell you, well, these are the things that we rank websites based on, and this is how we give search results back, well, then how can we possibly know what actually helps your SEO and what helps your site rise up in the rankings? Well, they do give some information. It's obviously not super detailed, but they do tell you some things, basically saying, hey, these are a few things that we look at. They don't go real in depth. And of course, they have this, it's actually an artificial intelligence or machine learning that is called Rank Brain. And if you want to go read about that, it's super interesting, probably more interesting than or more in depth than you're really concerned with. But it does all kinds of crazy things as far as deciding how to rank sites when somebody searches for something. Obviously, they're not going to tell you what that is. Some other ways we know, well, there are lots of companies and people that constantly research this and experiment with different things through trial and error. We find out what impacts a site's ranking in search results. And then, of course, there are some common sense things that we'll talk about, and you'll see what I mean about that here in just a second. So here's a couple things from Google themselves. Say steps to a Google-friendly site, or what's good for your SEO according to Google. There's a few things here that, like I said, common sense. Give visitors the information that they're looking for, right? We'll talk a little bit more about that in a second and how you can make sure that you do that. Make sure other sites link to yours. So that's another big ranking factor that they say is having inbound links or backlinks from other sites linking back to yours. It's kind of like a vote of popularity, if you will. If another a reputable site links back to your site, that Google sees that as something positive. Make your site easily accessible. We will talk about that first, actually, here in just a second. Then they give you some things to avoid, and that's all going to be stuff that you're not going to be doing anyway, spammy kind of stuff. So what is SEO? Well, search engine optimization is what SEO stands for, but what does that actually mean? There's this shroud of mystery almost around this, and there always has been. It's a ton of different things all working together to decide where does your site or a page on your site, where does it rank when somebody searches in a search engine for something. Well, so SEO is really just the effort to get your website to show up as high as possible on these search results pages, or SERPs, SERP, search engine results pages, if you want to use that. And of course, we're talking about organically, right? So you can pay, and I'll probably do another webinar soon about this because a lot of people do have success with it. You can pay to have ads on Google, so it's called Google AdWords. You can pay, it's a pay-per-click kind of deal. You can pay to show up. The more you pay, the more likely you are to show up at the top as an advertisement in Google search results. You know, a lot of people don't necessarily like that. If you're like me, I usually don't click on the ads. If I search for something and you see one or two ads at the top, you know, it says ad next to it and you know that they're paying for that. I like to go with the organic search result, which is the first result that you see that is not an advertisement. So as far as search engine market share, um, for searches from a desktop, Google is still almost at 2/3 of what people use, but mobile, which is, you know, the way that everything is going, and we continue to see that just continue to climb. On mobile, Google is reportedly about 95% market share on as far as what people are using to search on mobile. If you see over there in that image, there's an example. You know, I just searched Oklahoma City houses for sale. I'm here in Oklahoma City. Um, you see Zillow, Realtor.com, Trulia. It's going to be really hard to outrank those guys. It just is, okay? But you can do it, and we're going to look at a couple of ways to give you a better chance of doing that, right? So the big picture, don't miss the forest for the trees. What's your ultimate goal? You know, I mean, are you going to get some kind of prize, you know, that says, oh, I rank number one. I'm the first thing you see on Google when you search for whatever term. What does that actually do for you? Ultimately, I'm going to assume what you guys are looking for is leads, right? And before that, to get leads from your website, people have to get to your website. That's called website traffic. How do people get to your website? Well, there are lots of ways. But by searching Google, that is, and I'm going to say, sorry, this is, to me, Google is synonymous with search engines. I do not use Bing or Yahoo. There are some people who do, as we just saw in that last graph. It's a small percentage. So if I say Google, I'm talking search engines usually. So that's a big way that people can find you, can find your site, end up there, and then hopefully on your site you've got some things that are effective to capture those people's information so that you can follow up with them, give them a call, give them an email, move them one step closer to becoming an actual client of yours, and ultimately a commission check. Right? That's what we're looking for. So SEO is important, but keep it in perspective. It's one tool, it's one weapon in your arsenal. It is important, but don't get bogged down in it because it is an intricate subject, if you will. Who do you want to actually, you know, quote, like your site? Google? Yeah, sure, but what does that really get you? You? Well, yeah, we want you to be happy with your site, but most importantly, your potential clients, buyers, sellers, borrowers. These are the people who you want to actually like your site. This is something I found from searchengineland.com, which is a great site, very informative. The periodic table of SEO success factors. Look how official that looks. And to be honest with you, that's not even all of them. That's a small portion of it. Do you have time to dig through all of that? Learn about each thing. Go make sure that your site is optimized in each one of those little areas. Not if you actually want to help people buy and sell houses or get a loan. I know we have some. It's mostly real estate agents and brokers on here today. I do see a couple. We do have some mortgage bros, so I'll try and not leave you guys out. So we're going to look at 4 things today, and I'm sorry I'm speaking super fast. I'm trying to get through this as quickly as possible and let you guys go do what you do. But I want it to be informative and helpful for you and give you a few actionable items by the time you leave today. So we're going to look at mobile-friendly website and user experience. We're going to look at the content on your site. We're going to look at making sure that you have a local focus about your site. And then finally, links, which we mentioned a second ago, inbound links or backlinks, which are links from other sites, other places on the web that link back to your site. Google has said that these 4 things right here are very important. Now, there's all kinds of other really technical stuff, and most of that is what they call on-page SEO, which is going to be, you know, things like meta tags and stuff within the code of the pages of your site. I am not going to dive into that with you guys today. That stuff gets crazy really fast, and it's not something that most of you, I don't want to assume too much, but it's not something that most of you are going to go do today. And it's really a small part of overall SEO. So we won't talk about that much today. Number one, mobile friendliness. So obviously you guys understand this. This has been going on for years now. The shift from using a desktop computer or a laptop to using tablets and phones to do our searching, to do basically anything that we do online, that is moving towards mobile, right? So you have to make sure that your website is mobile responsive. What does that mean? Well, it basically your site and the way it displays and the way users interact with it changes from the desktop version that they would see if they pulled it up on their computer to the version that they will see if they have it on their phone. Now, we could go way in depth on this. It could be its own webinar, but to simplify it, it needs to be easy to read. It needs to be easy to navigate or use. Things like, if there's a phone number on the page, if somebody's on their phone, is it linked so that to where they can just tap it and the phone calls it? A lot of times now, modern, browsers, like say on your iPhone or whatever, can do that automatically if it sees a phone number, formatted 3 letters dash or 3 numbers dash 3 numbers dash 4 numbers. So that isn't always something you have to manually do. But ultimately, can a visitor to your site easily learn, read, find, get, and do what they want? If you have a site that has a lot of flash on it, for one thing, if it's older, that's a possibility. If you have really crazy menus that don't collapse and get easier to use on mobile, people will just bounce, right? And basically that just means they'll hit the page, realize, I can't read this, I can't do what I'm trying to do, and they'll just hit the back button, and that's it. Google does favor mobile responsive sites, especially obviously in mobile searches. So if somebody's searching on their phone and one of your competitors has an older site, maybe that has flash on it, that's not responsive, that's not set up for mobile, they're going to kind of take a hit in those rankings. If yours is mobile responsive, you should get a little boost for that from Google. Well, some of you may not know. How do is my site mobile responsive? I don't know. This link right here, and I'm going to send you guys, after this webinar, I'm going to send you guys a big email with all kinds of helpful links and resources and things. So don't worry too much about trying to type this link out or write it down. But there is a test that Google runs. All you got to do is put in your URL, hit go, and it will give you a little report and tell you, this is how Google sees your site from mobile. So, and then obviously, hopefully you do this anyway. Pull out your phone or your tablet, put in your website address, and look at it for yourself. You should be doing that anyway, just in case, from time to time things can break. You need to be making sure that your website is looking good and behaving and performing like it should. So on to the next thing, content. What is content? Well, it's any of the stuff on your website, right? So your content pages, your blog posts. We're going to look at 5 different aspects of content, what each one of them means, and how they need to be set up so that you are best set for higher rankings. We're going to look at quality of your content, keywords within your content, freshness of your content, blogging specifically, and long-tail keywords, which I will tell you what that is when we get there. So content quality, most importantly, this is the ultimate question. Does the content on your website answer your potential clients' questions? If they search for something, whether it's a listing or maybe something about first-time homebuyer programs, whatever it is, when they get to your site, does your content answer the questions that they have? Is it helpful to them? To know, the first thing you have to do is define, well, who are your potential clients? Who are your audience? And what questions do they have? So do some research. There's another good link here that is actually from AdWords. You don't have to be running AdWords or paying to use this tool. You do have to have a Google account, which most people do at this point. If you don't, you're going to need to make one, because I'm going to show you another thing here in a couple of minutes that is huge for local Google search results. So if you don't have a Google account, just go to google.com, create an account. This keyword planner tool right here lets you put in search terms, and it will give you the results of how many times does this get searched per month. How many people are typing in this question, or typing in this topic, or typing in this phrase. That is definitely helpful in deciding what you want to have on your site, what you need to have there. So quality is more important than ranking, right? So visitors will also bounce, even if you are the #1 ranked site. When they search for something, you come up first, they click on it, they get there. Well, if the content isn't very good when they do get there, it doesn't matter that you were ranked #1, right? That got them to your site. But if you can't follow through with the actual information that they need, that they want, that's helpful for them, then they're out of there, right? High quality content is also more likely to get shared. So that's super important when we start talking about backlinks, start talking about getting more eyes on your site, more exposure, more brand recognition. Just good quality content that's not canned, templated content. The more detail you can give, the more helpful it will be for people, and the better, Google sees that, and the better it'll help you rank. So keywords, what do you want to rank for? I said here, be realistic, but don't sell yourself short. Like I said a minute ago, you're probably not going to outrank Zillow or Trulia, or Realtor.com for a search phrase like, Miami real estate, or Miami real estate agent even. Think about the things that you specialize in. What makes you unique? What are some different things that you offer? If you don't have anything, if you would just describe yourself as, well, I'm an Oklahoma City real estate agent. You need more than that, right? You've got to have something unique. There are tons of Oklahoma City real estate agents. Why am I going to work with you? Why am I going to use you? Define what those things are, and then target those things, right? The keywords that you choose, that you want to rank for, you need to, this is a duh kind of moment, but you need to use them on your site. If you want to rank for, first-time home buyer programs in Oklahoma, use that exact phrase, that term on your site. Now, don't get crazy with it and overdo it, like people used to do back when keywords, the keyword tags used to mean a whole lot, and people would just literally go in there and just stuff them and just put it in absolutely as many times as they could. It wouldn't even make sense, but they wanted to be #1 and get people to their site. Of course, like we said, if the content's not good, who cares if you're #1 and people hit your site? They're not going to do anything beyond that. About a 1% keyword saturation is a good goal. So if you've got 1,000 words on a page, you're writing something about, first-time homebuyer programs in Oklahoma. Use that 10 times. Okay, that is going to help Google look at and see, okay, what is this page about? Okay, it's mentioned this many times on the page, but it's not obviously overdone. Freshness. So Google favors recently and regularly updated websites. This is kind of common sense, right? If there's a page that's talking about loan programs or something, maybe that stuff changes, right? If you have a page about that on your site and you haven't updated it or changed it or done anything to it in 5 years, do you think Google's going to rank that over a page that talks about 2017 specific loan programs and it was updated just a month ago? Especially in, like I said, with mortgage kind of things or with home buying things, real estate, neighborhoods, new neighborhoods that pop up. The content that you have, is it still accurate? Number one, is it still right? Go in and check. Go in and look at it. Can it be updated? Have there been new developments that you can address? Can you add more detail to it? Can you add more value to it? Google sees that. They like it. Keep your content fresh. So blogging and long-tail keywords. Why blog? I'm a huge proponent of blogging. I'll tell you this, our pipelinерoi.com site, our company website, and to be honest, I don't blog as often as I should, but it is our blog on our company site is responsible for a really large percentage of the total traffic that comes to our site. I think it's like over 20%, which is crazy. And that even within that, there are a few specific posts that will rank number one for a certain search term or search result. If we hadn't posted a blog about whatever that topic was, we may not even be in the search results for that search at all. There are tons of reasons I can give you that are why you should blog. It proves your expertise. It's another way to provide answers about topics that people are searching for, that they're looking for. It's a great way to engage your audience, right? So if you have, you've built this sphere of people who you're connected to, a blog post and an email about that to them saying, hey, check out my new blog post about XYZ, that drives traffic back to your site. Freshness. Well, so you may not want to go in and update and change the main core pages on your website. You may not want to change them just to be changing them, but a blog is an awesome way to constantly have new content going onto your site. Google sees that your site was updated regularly. You blog once a week, once, twice, 3 times a month. Something is always going to be better than nothing. It increases your exposure. The more content you have, and like I was saying with our website, the more topics you can address and have a page about. So a blog post really is its own web page, right? The more of those that you have, the more likely you are to be found when somebody's searching for those things. It also helps you rank high for more specific and targeted searches. So long-tail keywords are longer search terms or phrases that don't necessarily have huge search volume. So in this little graph here, you see, someone could search for shoes, or in your case, someone could search for real estate, houses for sale. That is going to have huge volume, but also huge competition, right? Your chances of showing up, like we said, above Zillow or these huge sites for a term like house for sale are really low. Okay, it's not impossible, but it is very unlikely that that's going to happen. Now, the more specific you start getting, homes for sale in Brookhaven Park, Norman, Oklahoma, now all of a sudden there's not as many people searching for that, but that also means that your competition is a lot lower. You're a lot more likely to show up towards the top. In this example here on this graph, you go from shoes to men's shoes, to red Nike men's running shoes. The more specific it gets, the better chance you have to show up for that term. And honestly, from all of the research that I did and things that I looked at, these long tail keywords, these longer search terms, actually account for a huge percentage of searches on the web. I mean, think about just your own activity. Do you go to Google and search furniture? Well, no, you probably search something about a specific piece you're looking for or a store that you know is in your area. It's the more specific things that are going to get you found and that are going to drive people to your site. And that is what we are trying to do. So like we said, blog posts are the perfect way to get found for a lot of these different long tail search phrases. Like we said, selling house versus selling your Oklahoma City house versus how much is my Oklahoma City house worth? And even more specific, how to sell your house without a real estate agent. And you say, well, why would I want to rank for that? Well, what if you wrote a blog post that talks about that, but then gives the positives of and the benefits of using a real estate agent? Like on average, a home that is sold using a real estate agent sells for X percentage higher price. Find those kinds of stats. People love that kind of stuff. Write a blog post about it. Share it on your social media. Send it out through email. SEO is not the only way people will get onto your website. Remember, we said it's just a piece of the puzzle. There are lots of other ways to drive people to your site. Focus on a few of those and do them really well. Blogs are also, pretty fast and effective way to get local content out there, target local keywords, local happenings. That's really big, as we'll see in just a second, because Google does take into account where the search takes place. So any way or any time that it knows where someone is searching from, which if you're on a smartphone, it knows. Most of the time, if you're on a desktop, it knows, unless the person has specifically gone in and said, do not share my location. So it's like we said, it's tough to outrank Zillow for something like, homes for sale, Edmond, Oklahoma. But for something like gated community homes for sale in Edmond, Oklahoma, well, look at that. Oklahomeseller.com has outranked Zillow for that. Good for them. I bet you that is driving some good traffic to their site, and it's very targeted, right? Like we said, it's not this generic homes for sale. I'm a real estate agent. It is more specific. Somebody that's searching that has something very specific in mind that they want. You send them to a page that shows them houses for sale in specifically in gated communities. That's exactly what they were looking for. And you know what? They're going to look around and they're going to find something that they might want to see, and they're going to call you. And that is what you want to happen. So a local focus. Search results, like I said, take into account where the person is searching from whenever that's possible, which is usually. What's the biggest, oldest saying about real estate? Location, location, location. When is location more important than when it comes to real estate? So what can you do to improve your SEO, specifically your local SEO? You need high quality content that is local specific to your area, your neighborhoods, your community, events that are happening near you. These are things that you need to be commenting on, sharing, telling people about. Set up a Google My Business account. We will look at that really specifically in just a second. I'll show you how to do that. Create saved search pages. So for the real estate agents in here, set up a page that is specifically, like I said, Brookhaven Park homes for sale. Or you can get even more specific than that with price ranges or features, waterfront homes for sale between $200,000 and $250,000, whatever that is. Title a page that, create a saved IDX search that shows homes that match that exact criteria, and then share that. One thing I said I wasn't going to talk about, like the real specific, like on-page kind of SEO things, but this one, I threw this one in here because it's kind of a common sense deal, but it's something you do need to check. So if I made that search page for homes in Brookhaven Park, the link structure on your site, so when you look at that page on your site in the address bar, what does it say? Is it metroproperties.com/Brookhaven Park homes for sale, like it should be, and like it would make sense to a person looking at it, like it would make sense to Google looking at it? Or is it metroproperties.com/1375/GHZ gibberish? Make sure that it is what they call canonical. Make sure that it makes sense, and preferably make it something that somebody would actually be searching for. Blog about local events, businesses, attractions, new developments, new neighborhoods, things that are specific and interesting and helpful and useful and valuable to people in your community. And then, that will get found via search engines, but then also make sure and share it on your social media. Send out an email newsletter about it to all of your contacts. SEO is not the only way to get people to your site. Write a relocation guide page that would be helpful for somebody that may be moving to your area. If you live somewhere that that happens a lot, you may also provide it as a downloadable piece of content so that you actually get a lead from that. So not just someone hits the page and maybe they don't call you right then and you never know who they are or what they wanted necessarily. But if you have a form set up that says, download our relocation guide that tells you all about Oklahoma City and the things to do here, and the price ranges of homes and some of the neighborhoods and all that, and you ask for their name, email, phone, when they might be moving, and then they click download, you get their information, they get this PDF guide of helpful information that they were looking for. It's a win-win situation. They're happy they get this valuable info. You're happy you get the lead. Hopefully you follow up on it like you should, and that becomes a client for you. Okay, so I mentioned Google My Business. This is super important. If this whole hour webinar you tune out, do this one thing. Make a Google My Business listing. This is huge, especially for mobile searches, which more than half of searches that are happening right now in Google are mobile, and that's just continuing to rise and rise and rise. There are, there's a generation that is a little younger than me that may not have ever used a desktop computer. All they know is a phone, a tablet. This is super important. That percentage of searches occurring on mobile versus desktop is only going to keep going up, and it's already 50-something%. Go to google.com/business. It's super easy to set up. They'll give you a little walkthrough, and believe it or not, they actually also give you a phone number on that page. They really want you to set these up, apparently, because used to, if you wanted to call Google, it was like good luck, right? There's not a 555 Google phone number, but they do give you a number to call, and somebody will help you if you need it. But it's pretty simple to set up, right? You put your company information in. When you set this up, be sure to add photos. So from some of the research I did, showed that businesses that have photos on their business listing get 35% more clicks to their site. Okay, it's a natural thing. You see this on social media too. Posts that have images perform better than plain text. I tried to throw some images into this presentation here so that, for that very reason, so that you guys aren't just looking at plain text, right? It's a natural thing. We gravitate towards visual stimulation. Add photos. You're thinking, well, add photos of what, from my business listing? Well, of your office, of you, of your team at a local event, whatever it may be. Add some things that give people kind of a feel of your business and what you guys are about and where you are. This is also a great way to get reviews. So when you create this Google My Business profile, it also includes the ability for somebody to review you. Hopefully you aren't scared of that. Hopefully you, I've talked to people who say, oh, I don't want to, I don't want reviews. Because I guess they're worried about, someone who may be upset with them leaving them a negative review. And I know that happens from time to time, and that's not always your fault. But hopefully you're doing a good enough job and taking care of people well enough that somebody's going to go, leave you a positive review way more often than not. But make sure and ask them to do that, right? Once you set this up, if you've had a couple of closings lately that went great, the client's happy, send them the link and say, hey, can you go give me a Google review? I'd really appreciate it. It's important to me. And this image right here is an example of search results for businesses that have created this Google My Business account. So you see, I searched Oklahoma City real estate agent. Since Google knows my location, it gave me the ones that were closest around me. Gives me their information. You can put your office hours on there. There's a easy link to click through to their website or directions to the office. You've got their phone number, reviews that you can easily read. You have to do this, guys. Like I said, if this is the one thing you get out of this whole webinar, go do this today if possible. Links. So this is another thing that Google has said is important to them. If you remember that first image that I showed you guys, where Google basically said, if you want a Google friendly site, make sure and pay attention to this, this, and this. Links was one of them, and specifically it's talking about backlinks or inbound links. Google places quite a bit of value on this. Like I said earlier, it's kind of like a popularity vote. If lots of sites are linking back to yours, that's a pretty good indicator that lots of people find your site helpful or useful or valuable. There were these crazy things called link farms and all of this sketchy stuff where people would set up a bunch of different sites, and maybe they weren't even legit sites. They were spammy, fake websites, but they would set them all up and then set them all up to link back to their site so they could get the SEO juice or whatever from this. Well, it didn't take Google long enough to figure that out, and so they can easily recognize what is a legitimate site linking back to your site and what is, bogus. There's also, and I don't want to get too in depth with you guys here, but there's also things called no follow links, which is basically there's nothing wrong with it. It's not bad, but it's a link that Google doesn't necessarily take into account, doesn't count as a backlink or an inbound link. This would be things like a link back to your site from YouTube or social media. I think they've said that those are, or like forums like Reddit or something like that, because of how easy it would be for someone to, what does it take to create a social media account? Well, an email address. Okay, go get a bunch of free email addresses, set up a bunch of free social media profiles that are all fake, and just start posting links all the time back to your site. Oh, that sounds smart. No, it doesn't work because those are what they call no follow links. Now, that doesn't mean you don't want people on social media or anywhere else to link back to your site. That's a good thing. That means somebody might see it, somebody might click it. It's going to hopefully increase traffic to your site. But, those links won't necessarily help your ranking. So how do you get these links? You say, well, how do you get other legitimate sites to link back to yours? Some of it will happen automatically, right? If you write an awesome blog post about some super cool thing that's happening in your community, or a new neighborhood that everybody's excited about, and you give some details about that, and you post it and you share it to your social media, or you send it in an email, if it's really good, people will post something on their own site about it. Hey, did you see this? Go check this out. Or they will tell somebody about it. But you can also make a little bit of a manual effort to get these. So here are a few ideas. Write a blog post about your favorite local restaurant, event, attraction, small business, anything that has a website, honestly. Reach out to them and say, hey, we featured you in, a blog post on our site about XYZ. You thought you might want to share it with your followers, or with your, email list or whatever. And usually, if it's something that's really positive and you've featured this person or this business, they want to share that with people. They want people to see it, and so they will share it, and that'll start sending people to your site. Build relationships with other small business owners. If there are, associations or groups or whatever in your local area, join those things. Build these relationships with people. Maybe you set up a page on your site that is, some of your favorite local businesses, and you link to their site, give a little snippet about, why you like them, why people should check them out. Have them do the same thing for you. Okay, that's totally legit. That is not that's not sketchy at all. That is, people who have made a connection, helping each other out. Sponsor a local event. A lot of times, if the event is put on by, some organization, they will have a website. They will list on that site, their sponsors, and they will provide a link back to your website. That's good. Do that. Guest blog for somebody. I know some of you guys, I can't get you to actually even write a blog for your own website. But if you can, take a little bit of time, ask somebody else, some other local business or organization or something, if you can, or even a news publication, if you can write something for them. Reach out to the local newspaper or something, say, hey, I've written this, or I want to write this nice article about something to do with the local real estate market, right? Something that proves your expertise. And say, would you feature this on your site? And usually, a lot of times, they'll say yes. You know why? Because that's work that they don't have to do. It's something that, it's content that they can have, and maybe with a tiny little bit of work, post to their site, and just tell them, like, hey, will you provide, like, at the beginning or end, a little bio snippet about me, and with a link to my website. That is good. That is positive SEO juice. Okay, I know this has been super fast, and this is a potentially super intricate topic. I tried to keep it high level enough that these are things that you can actually go do. And not so, but not so generic that you feel like you didn't take anything away. So SEO, at the end of the day, SEO is a means to an end. A number one ranking doesn't actually mean anything to your business unless it results in more people hitting your site, finding the content or the listings or the help that they need, and then taking the next step to either call you, email you, fill out a form, become an actual lead for you. Better rankings don't happen overnight. It takes some time, right? You're not gonna write one blog post about um, whatever it is, and then start showing up, number 1 or 2 or 3 for that search on Google. It takes a little bit of time. Okay, don't give up on it. SEO is just one weapon in your arsenal, like we said. There are lots of other ways to drive traffic to your site. You should do all of them. Um, at the end of the day, you guys are in the people business, right? What you want to do is grow your sphere of influence, your contact database. And then as you add people to that, you want to stay in front of them, whether it's through an email newsletter, whether it's through social media posts, calls, texts. You want to answer people's questions. You want to make the clients that you do get, the people that you do help, buyers, sellers, borrowers, make them happy. They ultimately can be your biggest marketing asset, right? Is word of mouth. Is somebody who you helped buy or sell a home, and it went faster and smoother, and they got a better price and whatever it was than they ever could have imagined. They will talk about it. They will tell people about it. Ask for testimonials and reviews. Try new marketing tactics, try new things, be fearless, right? Don't be afraid, and don't be afraid to do the old school stuff too. We're talking about all this, SEO and social media, and this stuff is awesome and it's great and I love it and it's what I do every day. But at the same time, don't be scared to try and get a good list and cold call. I know that's like 4-letter word, but there are people who have built crazy business cold calling. Don't be afraid to go get out and walk the neighborhood and talk to people. My first job was for a commercial real estate broker, and that was something that he told me you can't get so far into these digital things that you lose track of interacting with people, talk to people, have that one-on-one interaction with people in real life. Those were a few of my takeaways real quick before you guys go. So Pipeline ROI is an inbound marketing platform that basically, guys, it's everything that you need to generate business, to nurture your leads, to get them closed quicker, faster. You get an awesome mobile responsive website that takes these SEO things into account. We have a feature that's called Ghostwriter that can, believe it or not, automatically rewrite and reword some of the content on your site so that Google sees that freshness, sees those updates, and the uniqueness of that's different from anybody else's site, without you having to manually go in and rewrite it. So that's good. That saves you some time, gives you some of that SEO juice. It comes with lead generating IDX for your real estate agents and brokers. Mortgage, there are some mortgage specific features like an online loan app, e-signature, doc delivery, all kinds of stuff like that. It all comes with an automated email marketing tool, social media marketing tools that make it easy for you to schedule posts to your different social media accounts, and put some of that, not on autopilot, but to schedule some of it and automate some of that. It's $69 a month, guys. For the price and for what you get, it's crazy. You're not going to find anything that does what it can do for that price. It's not even close. Plus, this month in October, we're doing a 50% off of our setup deal, which will save you a couple $100. The setup, you'll talk to our design team who will get your site set up for you, make sure that everything is set up in the best possible way to, yes, boost your SEO, yes, generate, capture leads, stay in front of those leads, stay top of mind with them and engage with them. If you want to take advantage of this stuff, or if you have any questions, if you want to look at any more of our specific features or examples or anything like that, definitely feel free to give us a call at 866-300-1550. Email us at info@pipelinерoi.com. Just go look around on pipelinерoi.com. You'll see a lot of the features. There's videos, there's pictures, all kinds of stuff. If you have any questions specifically for me, you can always email me too. It's just hunter@pipelinерoi.com. I will send all of you guys a follow-up, like I said, with a little more content, some links to things if you want to read a little bit more about this stuff, if you want to learn some more. I am also working on a blog post right now about SEO, which I hopefully will go even more in depth on and turn into an ebook that you guys can go download. I will get you all of this information, don't worry. I also recorded this webinar, so if you miss anything, you want to go back and check it out, you want to send it to somebody, you can absolutely do that. I will be putting it on YouTube, and I will send you all the link for that if you want to go back and try to decipher anything that I sped through too quickly, which I have a tendency to do. You can do that. So I appreciate all of you guys being here today. Let me look in the chat box and see if I didn't tell you you could type in your questions there, so my bad. But like I said, email me if you need to know anything. I will also follow up with you guys, send you the information you need, and I would love to talk to you some more about pipeline ROI or just some real estate marketing things in general. That's what I do all day, every day. I love it. And if we can talk about that, if we can help you out in any way, just let us know. Thank you again, everybody, for being here. I'm going to start trying to do more of these webinars. If you have a topic about something you want to learn more about, I'd love to hear your suggestions. Shoot them over to me, hunter@pipelinерoi.com. You guys have an awesome day and a great weekend, and I will talk to you soon. Thanks.